Hello, I'm Zarina Zabrisky and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. US President Donald Trump has made it clear that he wants things to change on the Ukrainian front lines. The killing needs to stop, he continues saying, but questions remain as to how he wants to achieve this. Accusations of appeasement have popped up almost immediately after Ukraine's NATO membership was officially taken off the table, while others fear the deal will be fragile and temporary, allowing Moscow to regroup and then strike again. On the other hand, Trump's idea of Europe taking responsibility for its security is something that many agree is long overdue. So anyway, are we on a path towards sustainable peace or on the road to nowhere? Joining us now is Zarina Zabrisky, American journalist based in Ukraine. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hi, Jonah. It's good to speak to you today.
Good to see you again. And the first question, obviously, is going to be about the general impressions there. Any quick fix is a dirty deal, said the EU foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas. Would you agree that this is a threat that we're facing now?
Absolutely, Jonah. And this is not just my opinion or impression. I interviewed quite a lot of Ukrainians today all around the country. I make a point of speaking to people in different life paths and in different regions, anywhere from Donetsk and Kharkov to all the way in south and in western Ukraine. And pretty much everybody describes this deal as a dirty one, exactly the same words. There's a lot of anger, outrage. I spoke to several militaries, an officer. The emotions range from being in shock to being disgusted. And there's certainly no readiness in Ukraine to accept whatever is going to be brought or imposed on Ukraine in such a manner.
Would you say that this also may be particularly insulting to Ukrainians because they were fighting for so long and making so many sacrifices? And at some point, if the Western aid was actually more plentiful, Ukraine had an opportunity to take back some of its territories. And now it is being told officially that it is not going to be able to do that, at least not in a military capacity. The West, the United States at least, is not going to give its backing.
Yes, that's a very good point. And if for some of us back in the States, like myself, a journalist who've been investigating the connections between the former Trump administration and the current Trump administration and the Kremlin officials, that hardly came as a surprise for many Ukrainians who were understandably preoccupied with fighting against the aggressor and who had a lot of hope, honestly, for the newcoming United States president. That came as an insult. And to add to the insult, I want to share with you something which is kind of a developing story, and I don't think it was yet made very public. But apparently, our Treasury, the United States Treasury Secretary, Scott, with a certain delegation.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that final sentence, because we are experiencing some problems with our connection and we have not actually heard. You said one of the members of the Trump administration was involved in a particular issue. Can you please say that again?
Yes. Sorry about that. I'm in Odessa and we had a lot of strikes and attacks today, so it's understandable that the connection might be breaking. So the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, of the United States, arrived yesterday in Kiev and was having negotiations with President Zelensky of Ukraine. And with him in this delegation arrived Mr. Posobiec, his name is Jack Posobiec, who is known as an alt-right personality, far-right, practically neo-Nazi, open neo-Nazi, who was sharing pro-Nazi comments on his social media for years,
Was he a
about
member
10
of
years
this delegation?
by now.
I do actually know
Yes.
this individual from social media. Was he a member of the delegation?
Very much so. Moreover, he's been sharing on social media reports right from the presidential quarters on the ongoing negotiations. And this is the person who was in 2023 quoting multiple times Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin with the direct, I'm quoting now, Ukraine must be annexed by Russia. And other quotes like such. There are multiple evidence on the web that could be found showing him doing so. He is also very excited about President Trump meeting with President Putin in the United States. He did tweet yesterday in all capital letters that Putin is arriving to America, something to this extent. And so this delegation, according to Posobiec and his video that he shared, was trying to basically force Zelensky to sign the deal with the rare minerals being transferred to the United States, which, according to Posobiec, Zelensky has refused to do. And at this point, Trump was talking to Putin on the phone. And after that, he shared his very long and very excited post on his social media about the successful and wonderful negotiations with Putin.
So are you saying that
Yes, it is very insulting.
Yes, are you saying that meeting was taking place at the same time? So virtually this would have meant that President Zelensky would have been signing that particular deal without possibly knowing the outcome of the conversation between Trump and Putin. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there's so many aspects to that, from the insult of an open Nazi being at the presidential palace in Kiev, when at the bottom of it, Putin claims denazification. There's just so much here to look at that we possibly don't have time to go into every aspect of that, but it certainly should be brought up to the public awareness.
Of course. Is evidence available to use the term Nazi? Because I'm just referring to that because this term is being arguably abused in many cases. Of course, when using that with respect to Russian war crimes, for example, they do carry certain similarities. But that person you're talking about, a far-right enthusiast of conspiracy theories, of course. I mean, that is clear. Would you say that it is safe to refer to that person as being a neo-Nazi?
Yes, according to multiple research in the American media from South Poverty Law Center, which is very respectable investigative organization, to multiple other researches, this information is readily available. Posobiec was tweeting using 1488 code for Heil Hitler, and there are multiple like I said, evidence showing his predilection to the neo-Nazis. He was also known for leaking President Macron's campaign files and pushing for Marine Le Pen's party in the previous French elections. So it is quite an established fact here.
So would you say that this could be a major problem, a part of a bigger problem? We have individuals like Tucker Carlson, who enthusiastically interviewed Vladimir Putin and Alexander Dugin. We have people like Tulsi Gabbard making controversial statements and having many very divisive takes on foreign policy, now being appointed to a very important position overseeing the US intelligence. Where do you think this actually comes from? Because there is an unusually high number of people with far-right views, but also being unusually friendly towards dictatorships and authoritarian states, and now being at least associated with the current administration, or even being a part of it.
Well, the facts are speaking for themselves, Jonah. This is a very good observation, and just the sheer number of people with such views, open views, speaks for itself. We are dealing with a phenomena here which needs closer attention and which has certainly been there for years. And I believe that we will see more of it as the events unroll, and we will be commenting on that and reporting as these negotiations continue. The other point that I wanted to bring up as a journalist based in Ukraine and at this point in Odessa, that during the negotiations, during President Trump's phone call to President Zelensky, we had an air raid ongoing, and then we had a lot of airstrikes by Shahid drones. Today, there was a very large, it's premature to say which kind of ballistic missile, but attack on Odessa Historic Center. It was very close to my location, so I can tell you that it was a very serious strike. And usually Russia has a habit in 3 years of me being based here. This is a non-verbal signal, and this is not a signal of peace.
It certainly doesn't seem that way, and perhaps this will be something that could change the course of negotiations once Americans realize that Putin doesn't really want any sort of peaceful resolution. Zarina Zabrisky was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight.
Thank you, Jonah.
And I'm Jonasz Rewiński. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.